I welcome you to a golden moment with Sister Prisca. Today's live stream invites you into the soul of Genesis chapter 16, the story of Hagar, a woman cast out and yet embraced by the divine. This story of Hagar may be your own story. Let us quickly go to the scripture. Genesis chapter 16, and I read from verse 1. Abram's wife, Sarai, had not borne him any children, but she had an Egyptian slave woman named Hagar. And so she said to Abram, "The Lord has kept me from having children. Why don't you sleep with my slave? Perhaps she can have a child for me." Abram agreed with what Sarai said. So she gave Hagar to him to be his concubine. This happened after Abram had lived in Canaan for 10 years. Abram had intercourse with Hagar and she became pregnant. When she found out that she was pregnant, she became proud and despised Sarai. Then Sarai said to Abram, "It's your fault that Hagar despises me. I myself gave her to you. And ever since she found out that she was pregnant, she has despised me. May the Lord judge which of us is right, you or me." Abram answered, "Very well. She is your slave and under your control. Do whatever you want with her." Then Sarai treated Hagar so cruelly that she ran away. The angel of the Lord met Hagar at a spring in the desert on the road to Shur and said, "Hagar, slave of Sarai, where have you come from and where are you going?" She answered, "I am running away from my mistress." He said, "Go back to her and be her slave." Then he said, "I will give you so many descendants that no one will be able to count them. You are going to have a son, and you will name him Ishmael, because the Lord has heard your cry of distress. But your son will live like a wild donkey. He will be against everyone, and everyone will be against him. He will live apart from all his relatives." Hagar asked herself, "Have I really seen God and lived to tell about it?" So she called the Lord who had spoken to her a God who sees. That is why people call the well between Kadesh and Bered the well of the living one who sees me. Hagar bore Abram a son, and he named him Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old at that time. Dear friends, having listened to this Bible passage, I wonder what is your own take about what really happened. Remember, there is always a reason, a cause for every reaction, and the consequence of every attitude or character we display. Sometimes someone may try to be good to us, but we try to pay back with arrogance, with kind of attitude that doesn't really portray that sign of gratefulness. Hagar is a name. It may be yours, it may be mine, it may be anyone else. The situation you find yourself in life may define you what you can also interpret as your own experience relating it with the story of Hagar. Hers was a question of a child, but yours might be a disappointment, either in marriage, in your place of work, in your vocation, or even in your relationship with the people you encounter. But the question still remains, what is your own take? Remember, if you run away from God, you run into trouble. Let us try to analyze this Bible passage and use the inner eyes, the spiritual eyes to give interpretation. It might be something too quick for anyone to say, well, Hagar didn't act well, or Sarah was so cruel to have made that a servant, or Abraham didn't give a very sound protection for the innocent girl. But remember, God always has a reason for everything that happens in one's life. In a world overflowing with voices, images, and opinions, it is possible, deeply possible, to feel invisible. You may find yourself scrolling through news feeds, walking into rooms, or sitting among crowds where no one really sees you. But there is a name that breaks through the silence. Eroi, the God who sees me. Many times we may be in difficult situations. Whom do we run to? Do we turn to God in prayers? What do we actually do when we find ourselves in helpless situations? Let us walk with Hagar today. A woman in the shadows, Hagar was not the center of anyone's world. She was a maid, a servant, passed between powerful hands. When Sarah, unable to bear a child, gives her to Abraham, Hagar becomes pregnant, but also a problem. She is mistreated, dehumanized, sent away. She runs to the desert alone, pregnant, nameless in the eyes of the society, and there in the silence of the heat and tears, an angel finds her. A divine encounter. The angel of the Lord appears and calls her by name. Hagar, servant of Sarai, where have you come from and where are you going? This is no ordinary question. It's both an invitation and a diagnosis. God is not lost. He is locating her even in her brokenness. Let us pause a little bit and think about our own present situation in life. From verse 6, it tells us Sarah dealt harshly with her and she fled from her. Hagar doesn't live with a plan. She simply runs desperate to escape from the cruelty and the treatment she had from her mistress. And it's not that familiar. Sometimes we don't chase dreams, we escape damage. Life unravels identities that crumble us. We run because we want to stay safe. Where do you run to when you are in difficulty? Is still the same question I ask myself, and I ask you the same question. Remember, from the scripture, it tells us the desert exposes what the world hides, and that's where God begins. In verse 7, the angel of the Lord finds her by the spring of water in the wilderness. not because she cried loud enough, but because her presence mattered to heaven. The angel calls her Hagar, servant of Sarah. It's the first time in the scripture a divine messenger addresses someone by name, not even if or Noah receives such an honor. Why? Because God honors the invisible, He defines the dismissed. Hagar is the only person in the Bible to name God in return, the God who sees me. When humans reduce you to a label, God restores you with a name. Remember that God never forgets anyone because even in your own mistake, God has a second plan for you. The same God who saw Hagar sees you now in the hospital waiting room, in the failure you never expected, in the tears you swallow because strength is gone. Your reputation in the family may be reduced because of the things you go through. Remember, you are not forgotten, you are not a failure, you are found, and God will always see you at your own point of need. Allow God to decide your matter. Never lose faith in anything you do. Take courage and may you walk this day seen and named and loved by God. Peace be with you. If this is your first time of joining this conversation, kindly subscribe and share the link to your friends. God bless you.